In our spiritual practice, it is a good idea to return to basics frequently. To review and to make sure that we are doing things correctly, that we have not forgotten the fundamentals. In meditation as well, usually the first meditation we learn is counting the breath. It is simple but very important practice. Breathing in, breathing out, every moment. Our mind is focused on this simple action and nothing else. It is a great training. Focus, clarity of mind, counting, always in the present moment. When we are counting the breath, there's no I doing the counting. There is no breath being counted. It is the name breath is just a label. But the air going in, the air coming out, while you do the counting. The counting is being performed. And that is the most important thing in the world right now. Deserving of your full attention. And the mind is calm and at ease. Okay, let us start our class today. We are on to a new topic now, which is called straight path or straight path. But before we start the class, I have a couple questions. One, in our life, how do we recognize our errors, our mistakes, and fix them? Surely we have all done things that was not good, we didn't like, we could have done better, but they are in the past. So looking into the future, how can we recognize them earlier? And for those in the past, those mistakes in the past, how can we fix them? To what extent can we fix them? So that's a question I think is worthy of our consideration. And in a related vein, how do we recognize and prevent stray paths in our spiritual cultivation? That is, how do we prevent ourselves from going the wrong way, from doing the wrong practice, from following the wrong teacher, or believing in the wrong ideology, in the wrong thing? Yeah. So one of the most important thing in the Buddhist practice to our enlightenment is the right understanding. The right understanding. And it is possible that we try to learn the Zen teaching, the Buddhist teaching, but then we have a mistaken understanding. Yeah, and so that's the purpose of this topic. We have a few Zen stories showing people who have gone to a little bit or maybe a little more on the wrong path. Okay, so I have prepared 3 stories today. I'm not sure I can get to all of them in chronological order, but we're going to look at the second one first. The second one is called the Wild Fox Zen, Jianhu Shifu, and that's a really, really famous story. In fact, this story gave a phrase, created a phrase. Today we'll call it maybe a meme, the Wild Fox Zen. So from then on, in the Buddhist community, Wild Fox Zen, it became a term to refer to people who pretend or think they're talking about Zen, but they are really just saying gibberish. Okay. All right. So this story involves Baizhang Huaihai, who is a disciple of Ma Zu. And Baizhang, we have heard a little bit of his teaching in the previous classes. He's the one that said there's a person who's never hungry. There's a person who never eats but never hungry. And there's a person who always eats but always hungry. Yeah? So that story I did not explain but ask you to contemplate on. All right. So Baizhang is also a crucial Zen master who set up the monastic rules, monastic regulations for the monasteries. Of course, there's the Vinaya, which is the set of precepts and regulations for the Buddhist monks, for the Buddhist Sangha. But then there's also a need for regulations, how things are done, how monks practice in a monastery, and that regulations will be different in different regions. For example, when Buddhism came to China, this is Chinese culture that's different from Indian culture. So some of the things we must follow, and some of the things need to be adjusted to fit the Chinese way of practice. Okay, so Bai Zhang Huanhai was the one that set forth a temple regulations in a monastery that is specifically designed for the Chan school, for the Zen school, for the Zen practitioners. Okay, so there are different monasteries that follow different Buddhist schools. So the Chan school has its own special activities or practice and needs. So Bai Zhang was the one that set forth the first comprehensive rules designed for that, and that has been used in, more or less the same form over until today. Yeah, so you see that he was born in the year 720, and so this regulations has, I'm sure it's been modified over the ages, but it's been used for more than 1,200 years. Okay, and he's also the direct ancestor of the Linji school, the Renzai school in Japan, the Linji school, which is the subsect that we belong to. Okay, but we haven't got to that, what that means yet. Let's look at this story. Whenever Master Bai Zhang held Dharma sessions, give a teaching, an old man will often join the assembly and leave quietly when the assembly is over. However, one day the old man stayed while everybody dispersed. He remained to wait for the master. So the master asked him, who are you? Who is it that's standing before me? Remember that question we have heard before? Bodhidharma, when he was faced with Emperor Liang Wu, the emperor also asked, who is it that's standing in front of me, right? Who is it standing before me? The old man said, actually, I'm not a human being. In the time of the past Buddha Kashyapa, okay? So in Buddhist scriptures, it is said that Shakyamuni Buddha, which is this historical Buddha, the Gautama Buddha, who lived about anywhere from 2,600 years to 3,000 years, depending on who is counting, right? That was the historical Buddha, or the most recent Buddha. But before that, as you know, everyone can become Buddha. So a long time ago, there must have been people that had become Buddhas in this world too, right? So in this Saha world, in this world, there have been, we have the names of the past 7 Buddhas. Okay, so maybe that was in a different culture and different history. Anyway, so the previous Buddha to Shakyamuni will be Buddha Kashyapa, and that will be, who knows, millions of years ago, right? So I lived and taught on this mountain, the same mountain. Once a disciple asked me, so this old man is probably or was a monk among the teachers that had disciples. So a disciple asked him, is an accomplished cultivator still bound by cause and effect? An accomplished cultivator here means somebody who has realized the truth, who is awakened. Right? So once you're enlightened, once you're awakened, are you still bound by cause and effect? In other words, ordinary people, we are all bound by cause and effect. There's cause and effect. Good karma leads to blessing, and bad karma leads to suffering, misfortune in the future. So, however, as long as you are bound by cause and effect, doesn't that mean that you're not free? That is the implication. That you're not truly free. Now, when we achieve enlightenment, we should be free, right? We have true freedom. So, the question is, are you then freed from the law, from following the law, from the bounds of even cause and effect? Do you transcend the law of cause and effect? You're no longer bound by your karma. So the old man, in that old time, that ancient time, he answered, no, they are no longer bound by the cause and effect. Unfortunately, that was the wrong answer. So for this, I was reborn as a wild fox for 500 lifetimes, including this lifetime. So he's actually a fox in a human shape. Okay? So now I beg you, Venerable Master, to show me a turning phrase to free me from this wild fox body. So the context is that in Chinese legend, certain animals, through their own probably practice of stillness or special circumstances, they can train themselves to have shape-changing abilities to appear as a human. Yeah. So there are many Chinese myths or legends of wild fox appearing as a beautiful woman to seduce innocent men. Anyway, so this is the old man fox. So he is still trapped by his karma, retribution as a fox, and he doesn't know when he'll get to be a real human again. So for 500 lifetimes, he has been reborn as a wild fox, and he couldn't get out of it. Now, in Buddhist teaching, the karma of rebirth is that when you have created bad karma, different kinds of bad karma, you can get reborn into the three lower realms, so wretched realms, or suffering realms. And that's the animal realm, the realm of beasts, and the hungry ghost realm, and also the hell realm. So if you create a serious bad karma, you have hurt a lot of sentient beings, caused a lot of suffering, you can be reborn in hell. But if it's somewhat less than that, or if the character of your bad karma is to cheat a lot of people of their belongings, money, property, and so on, then you can be reborn as a hungry ghost. That is, you live a long time, forever hungry, never able to eat anything. So your whole life, lifetimes of starvation. And somewhat less than that is being born as an animal. Animal has lower intelligence, and they have more suffering than human beings. So for his teaching, conveying the wrong Buddha teaching to a disciple, his karma dictated that he became a wild fox for many lifetimes. So when we teach the Dharma, we have to be very careful. Only teach what you know, and then what you don't know, well, don't teach. Don't make a guess. If it turns out to be wrong, it could be pretty serious. And the reason is that if you think about it, as a teacher, or as a Buddhist teacher, or any teacher, You're supposed to know what you're teaching, right? And if you are not sure about a subject, a certain part of the subject of your expertise, you should let the students or disciples know, oh, I cannot answer that question right now, instead of taking a guess, right? Because if you misrepresent it, if you teach wrong, and the students, they look up to you, right? And they believe you, and they practice wrong, they learn it wrong, that can have serious effects on the students, right? On the student's life or on their career. In this case, on their spiritual practice, which is even more serious. Okay? So now, the question here is, where did he go wrong? The idea is that the question was, if you are awakened, aren't you freed from the bounds of cause and effect? Right? So if the answer is yes, you are freed from the bounds of cause and effect, that would seem by, oh, okay, then you are fully liberated, right? Isn't that what liberated means? No bad thing can happen to you. Isn't that what freedom means? You'll be in eternal happiness, eternal bliss. But that doesn't. But is that really true? Can anybody transcend cause and effect? Can anybody ignore karma? Even the Buddha? Right? And if the answer is no, you are not freed, you are still bound by cause and effect, then can you be truly free? So that's the issue, right? So it's tricky. It's a little bit tricky. So the master said, instead of giving him a yes or no answer, the master said, ask me the same question. So pretend you are the disciple, and I'm the master, I'm the teacher. You ask me the question. So the old man then asked, is an accomplished cultivator still bound by cause and effect? Master Baizang replied, they are not blinded by cause and effect. The accomplished cultivator is not blinded by cause and effect. So one word difference, not bounded, not blinded by cause and effect. That was the right answer. Not blinded by cause and effect. Upon hearing those words, the old man attained a great awakening. He knew his mistake, and oh, now I understand finally. And apparently some changes had happened, and he recognized it. The wild fox. He bowed and said, I am now free from the wild fox body. I reside behind a mountain. May I ask the master to handle my remains, the body of the wild fox, appropriate for deceased monk. So even though in this lifetime, he still appears as a wild fox, his mind was clear. His mind was clear. Maybe through the 500 lifetimes, or maybe because he was a sincere Dharma teacher before, for whatever special circumstances, he was able to retain his mind of his past. And he was able to retain his learning and teaching. But he still didn't know what went wrong. So now he knew, he understood the subtle differences. Why he made a mistake, and as a result, he was free from that karma. So he still considered himself a monk. And so when the body of the monk, when the monk is dead, in the monastery, we perform a funeral ritual that is suitable for a monk. So Baizang later asked Wei Nuo, which is one of the head monks in the monastery, who's in charge of the rites or leading the ceremony. So to announce to the rest of the monastic, the Sangha, the assembly, that after their noon meal, they will perform the funeral rites for deceased monk. Now that confused everybody. Everybody was puzzled. Who died? Who died? Did somebody die last night? Did somebody die this morning? And in the Nirvana hall, there's no seriously ill monk. So in a monastery, in the Chinese monastery, there's a Nirvana hall, which usually is the place, the residence hall for people who are dying, for monks who are dying. Even though, there may be a few people in the Nirvana hall, but then they're not, we haven't heard anybody who is about to die or have died. Okay, so why is this funeral rite for? Who is it for? Anyway, they followed the master. The master led the assembly after the meal to the back of the mountain, where he used his staff to uncover the body of a wild dead fox. So what happened? He went to the back of the mountain with the rest of them, and then he was able to find the body of a dead fox. And then they cremated as if this was a human monk, and then according to the proper rituals. Well, that was the end of the story. Okay? A little bit of mythical elements in there, but still, the important thing is the teaching here, all right? The teaching about cause and effect. So after this became a really well-known story, and then afterwards, in the Zen community and then the rest of the Buddhist community, whenever somebody appears to be talking about Zen, doing Zen talk, okay, and people like to do that because, Zen. Some people think, if I talk paradoxically, then I'm doing a Zen talk. But that's what we would call a wild fox Zen, when you don't have real understanding and you're just doing it for fun, or you're pretending, or you think you understand what you know, but you didn't know where you are wrong. That's wild fox Zen. That's wild fox Zen talk. Okay? All right, so let's look at this for a moment. Why didn't Master Baizang answer him directly whether he was right or wrong? Imagine the old man or the old fox said, Did I answer right? What did I answer wrong? Right? The master, if the master told him, the awakened cultivator will still be bound by cause and effect, that doesn't really get to a key understanding of cause and effect, the laws of causality, the law of karma. Okay? So he would not have increased any understanding for the old man, right? If you think about it, the old man answered, no, the awakened one is not bound by cause and effect. He knew he was wrong. So obviously the right answer would be, yes, he is still bound by cause and effect. He would have known that already, but that still didn't help him, right, for the 500 lifetimes. So there's some other insight about cause and effect that he didn't get. That's why the master asked him to ask the same question again to him. And he will answer in a way that help him know what was missing. And the answer was, they're not blinded by cause and effect. All right. So in the Chinese, there's a very subtle difference too, just one word difference. So how is this answer going to bring any insight? They are not blinded by cause and effect. That means the enlightened person, the awakened person, will know clearly the law of cause and effect. So many of us think we know cause and effect, or it is expressed in many different ways. In the West, there's a teaching, the golden rule, right? Do unto others as you have others do unto you. And and the Bible says, you reap what you sow. Those are all expressions of cause and effect. Yeah, what goes around comes around. Yeah, so it's not a rare or special teaching. It's in many cultures, but it is actually more subtle than we think, more profound than we think. Okay, so people who, one way to misunderstand the law of causality is that it means that your future is deterministic, because your future is determined by your past, and the past has already happened. So that means there's no way to change your future. But that is not true. If that's your understanding of cause and effect or karma, then you are still blinded by cause and effect. You still don't clearly understand, clearly see cause and effect, right? So there is a tricky part here, and that is knowing that your future is already shaped by your past karma. Can you still change your future? Yes, you can. Because every moment you can, it is possible for you to alter your future by applying the law of cause and effect. For example, if you have learned about the 12 links of interdependence, then you will know. But if you haven't, it's okay. The key is, while my future is already shaped by my past. For example, your relationship with your wife or your husband. Your relationship, how it's gonna unfold, how your interaction will be tomorrow and next month probably will be very similar because of your interaction in the past, right? If you have a good relationship with your spouse, if you don't have a good relationship with your spouse, or if it's with your children or your boss, your manager or your friends, it's not likely to change drastically, right? But you know that it is still possible to alter it, if little by little. What is the key? The key is that we reflect on our habitual reactions in the past and change what is not suitable. Change what is. We change what is harmful, unhealthy, right? And also the key here is our perspective, how we look at the current situation, how I look at my spouse, how I look at my children, how I look at my manager, yeah? How I look at them. there must be something not right in my perception if our relationship is not good. So if I want the relationship to be better, I need to change my perception, and also, as a result, change my thought process, my habitual reaction. And that is what will change my future, little by little. So that's all within the law of causality. That's making use of law of causality. A person who can make use of law of causality is the wise person who can shape the future the way he or she wants, right? So that's the key difference here. You don't be blinded by cause and effect. Cause and effect is not a trap. See, the person that asked the question, including the old man who answered it, was their understanding of cause and effect was limited. They think that karma, the law of karma, is a bondage. They think that the law is a bondage that restricts your freedom, but it's not. By following the law in an intelligent way, the law itself is not a bondage, and you can have your freedom. You can have your freedom. True freedom, even following the law of causality. A secular example, a worldly example would be that wherever you're living now, let's say you're living in the United States, or you're living in Taiwan or China or India or Australia or France or Germany, you have the law of your country, right? By following, by observing, abiding by the law of your country, you have a lot of freedom to do things and to make a living and to travel and to have fun. But if you violate the law, if you don't abide by the law, then you can be put in jail and you lose your freedom, right? So the law itself does not restrict your freedom, but rather it spells out the conditions of how we can be free. So the natural law, cause and effect is a natural law. By understanding the natural law, the way things are, the natural law is the way things are, is suchness, is thus. By understand the way things are, that's when you can be truly free. So that's called not blinded by cause and effect. Okay? All right, so that is an important story and an important lesson. So that shows how the old man, or as a previous monk, made a mistake in his learning. A sincere mistake. He didn't want to fool anybody. Okay, so we do that too in our spiritual practice, because the Dharma truth can be subtle. It is possible that we have not a complete or even a wrong understanding of some aspect of the teaching. Okay? What are some of the common mistakes that Buddhists can make? Yeah, we can think about that. And let's look at another story. This story is regarding Master Heze Shenhui. Now, Heze Shenhui was earlier than Baizang. He lived in the 8th century. He was a direct descendant of the 6th patriarch. Okay? So the 6th patriarch was the great Chinese master, and then he had dozens of enlightened masters, 5 of which are most famous. We have encountered a couple of them. And one of them will be Nanyue Huairang. And Nanyue will have a disciple called Mazu, and we know about Mazu. And Mazu will have a disciple Baizang, right? So Baizang will be 2 generations below this Heze Shenhui. All right. So now Heze Shenhui came to the master, the 6th patriarch, when he was very young. He was 13 years old. he was a novice monk, already a monk. He was a novice monk. But he was very bright. So there was a young monk named Shen Hui, age 13, who came from Yuquan to pay his respects. The sixth patriarch Master Huineng asked, "You come from afar, enduring hardships. Yeah, it's not easy to travel such a long distance in those days. It's not like you can take an airplane and then a taxi or Uber, right? Have you brought your original nature with you? You come this far, have you brought your original nature with you? If you have it, you should recognize your master. Who is your master? Do you know your master? Do you know your original nature? Try to explain to me." Now, imagine asking that question to a 13-year-old. So the fact that Master Huineng asked this novice monk who's only 13 this very profound and essential question means that he recognized that he is a very clever monk. So the young Shen Hui replied, "With non-abiding as the foundation, seeing itself is the master." So, if you have learned the Heart Sutra or some other Buddhist teaching, you may know that non-biting or non-clinging, non-attachment is a crucial practice in Buddhist awakening, right? Once you are clinging to something, your vision becomes clouded, and then you're trapped. So Shen Hui obviously have studied some of the Buddhist scriptures. He knows the importance of non-abiding. Non-abiding is the foundation. Seeing itself is the master. So who is our master? Who is our master? Huh? Who is your master? Who dictates what you do? That's the master, right? So are you a master of, is your body, your physical body, your master? Meaning that whatever your physical body desires, whether it's donuts or whether it's a lot of sleep, whether it's comfortable clothing or whatever, right? Is your body the master? Is your vanity the master? Is your ego the master? Is your desire for money and power, is greed your master? Is anger your master? Does anger take over you and dictates your actions? So that's an important question, right? Who is the master in your life? In your life, right? So the novice monk Shen Hui says, seeing itself is the master. Remember, we've been talking about the knowing mind and the conscious mind. The conscious mind is very, very important, right? It helps us judge, compare, analyze. But it has this other side, the dark side, right? With the emotions that are generated by our conscious mind can take over and become a master if temporarily, right? And that could lead to disasters. And Shifu also said, knowing. You need to know the knowing. The knowing is always calm, always present. It's the foundation of your mind. So Shen Hui seems to be saying that. Seeing is another way to talk about the knowing, right? The knowing itself, not what you see, but seeing itself, the ability to see, the ability to know, the ability to perceive. That is the master. Now, that sounds like a really good answer, doesn't it? However, and it would be impressive for a young monk, for a novice monk, or a 13-year-old, for a monk of any age to reply that. It's impressive. However, Master Huineng said, talk is cheap, novice monk. Why did he say that? Talk is cheap. So it doesn't seem like the master was impressed with his answer. All right, let's continue. So the story continues. Shen Hui asked, Venerable Master, Master Huinan, when you sit in meditation, do you see or not? So he's following up on the conversation. Oh, you don't like my answer. Seeing is the master. So let me ask you, Master. So, so this little monk, he's kind of straightforward and rebellious, right? So he said, well, then let me ask you, Master, when you sit and meditate, do you see or not? Do you know or not? The patriarch struck him. He took a stick or staff, hit him 3 times, and asked, when I hit you, does it hurt or not? So this is what we call a Dharma combat, right? Back and forth. It seems like the novice is trying to get the master to agree to his answers. And following the same thread, the master used the same device to ask Shen Hui, the novice, do you really know what you're talking about? You seem to be talking about non-duality or the knowing, the essence, but do you actually know what you're talking about? So that's why he said, when I hit you, does it hurt or not? And Shen Hui replied, it both hurts and does not hurt. Okay, that seems profound. That seems like a Zen talk, right? It both hurts and does not hurt. The patriarch says, I both see and do not see. Shen Hui then asks, what does it mean to both see and not see? So they both answered in a similar way, right? Master Huinan says, I see and do not see. Shen Hui says, I'm hurt, I feel hurt and I'm not hurt. But are they on the same level? The patriarch said, what I see is my own faults and mistakes. I do not see the rights and wrongs and likes or dislikes of others. In other words, I have a discriminating mind, but it does the good discrimination. I focus on my own faults and mistakes, but I don't discriminate others based on what they know and do not know. Okay? So, with this discerning mind, this wisdom mind, I can see that you, novice, you have an issue with your ego. You seem to talk, Zen talk. You talk the talk, but you have no real understanding. That's what the master is implying. So he says, I see my own faults. That is a hint to the young monk. Do you see your own faults? Yeah? So far, the master has been pretty harsh on this this young monk, right? First of all, he said talk is cheap, so he didn't affirm his answer. But the kid, the young monk, he didn't stop and reflect. Why did the master say that? Where did I go wrong? Unlike the previous wild fox monk, right? The old man fox, he was reflecting on his mistake for 500 lifetimes. But this young monk, instead of reflection, he actually was trying to challenge the master. So I see my own faults. Do you see your own faults? This is what it means to both see and not see. I'm not playing with words here. My words have real meaning. I see and do not see. In my meditation, what do I see? I see where my mind is not perfectly pure yet, and I see where I should work on. And when I'm teaching the disciples, I see their faults, and their blind spots, but I don't discriminate against them. So I don't see their faults, but I know where to teach them, to guide them. That's what it means. So this is not fancy talk. This is about real life practice, real life practice. Now, as for your statement, it both hurts and does not hurt. Well, does it hurt or not? If it does not hurt, you are not no different from a wood or stone. If it hurts, you're no different from the ordinary people. So ordinary people, when they are hit, they hurt. So if you do not feel the hurt, you're a piece of rock. If you do feel hurt, if you do, experience that hurt, you're just an ordinary person. So what is it that you're talking about? You both hurt and not hurt. So if you feel hurt, you're prone to anger and resentment. Your discriminating mind kicks in. So your earlier seeing and not seeing are dualistic. Hurting and not hurting are bound by birth and death. Now that's very sharp criticism. Yeah, just because I can say I both hurt and not hurt, I both see and not see, doesn't mean I understand non-duality. That's the wild fox Zen talk. Yeah. Just because I seem to talk profound and then confusing you doesn't mean I'm doing the real Zen talk. So you have learned this what seemed to be profound non-dualistic talk, but do you actually know what you're saying? You haven't even seen your own nature yet. Remember, the master said, show me your original nature. And Shen Hui's answer is straight from the books or from other people. He doesn't really know what he's saying. How dare you to fool others with your words? So with this, at this point, Shen Hui finally admitted, yeah, I was just talking cheap, doing cheap talk. I don't really know what I'm saying when I said both hurt and not hurt, right? So Shen Hui bowed in repentance. Okay, now the last part is actually many years ago. So Shen Hui is, his first appearance in a Zen world was being reprimanded by the great master Huineng. However, in the interrealm years, the sixth patriarch eventually acknowledged that he had good realization. Let's look at this next part. This is many, many, many years ago when one day the sixth patriarch addressed the assembly saying, I have something that has no head or tail, no name or label, no back or front. Do any of you recognize it? So, I have something. I have something, which means you have something too, okay? I have something that has no head, no tail, no beginning, no end, no face, no name, no label, no back or front, not big or small. Do you recognize it? So Zen talk, right? Now, Shen Hui, I'm not sure if he's still a novice now. He's probably not a novice anymore. He stepped forward and said, it is the source of all dharmas, the Buddha nature of Shen Hui. So he's saying, Master, I know what you're talking about. It's the Buddha nature. You have the Buddha nature, I have the Buddha nature. The Buddha nature is source of everything. Standard answer. So if you were to take an exam, and then that would be like a standard correct answer, right? But in the Zen practice, there are no standard answers. You cannot take a written exam and say, oh, pass, and then now you're awakened. It doesn't work like that. So the patriarch said, I told you it has no name or label, and yet you call it the source and the Buddha nature. I just say it has no name and label, and you gave it a label. Even if you go on to have a thatched roof over your head, you'll be merely a scholar of Dharma. Now, the thatched roof over your head means you have a place to live. You have a place, you have a monastery. You have a monastery. And that implies that you are on your own teaching. You are teaching as a Shifu. And you have your own disciples. So that's what it means. Even in the future, you have your own monastery and you're doing your own teaching, you would merely be a scholar of Dharma. Now, scholar of Dharma is pretty good career, yeah? It's not easy to be a scholar of Dharma, but what he means is that you are just mixed in. You just entangle in the knowledge, in the written words, in the ideology. You don't have real understanding. So this is tricky, right? Even if you give all the right answers, do you have real understanding? And that's something we really need to reflect on ourselves, okay? Because a lot of times a master will ask you questions and to test your understanding, and you can give the right answer, the standard answer. And sometimes the right answer can even fool some masters, can even fool your Shifu. Yeah, the Shifu may even be fooled into thinking, oh, you have real understanding. But it could go wrong. Do you have real understanding? Yeah. So, a note here. The sixth patriarch eventually did affirm Shen Hui had true realization. And he is one of his Master Huinen's 5 most influential disciples. After Master Huinen passed away, Shen Hui became the torchbearer, devoting his life to establishing Master Huinen, his Shifu, as a great figure, the colossal figure, and a trailblazer in Chinese Buddhism. So Huinen has a lot of disadvantages. He was actually illiterate, the great sixth patriarch. He was actually illiterate. He, unlike most of the other Buddhist masters at his time, they are from the north. They are from high class families, and they also have studied a lot. But Huinen didn't. But then he was very, very sharp. He became the greatest Chinese Chan master. So he, even though he had many awakened disciples, he was not widely recognized as such. So when he passed away, Shen Hui, this monk here, this master here, devoted his life to spread his Shifu's teaching. And it was primarily through his efforts that sixth patriarch Huinen became accepted as such a great master that he is. And his influence to the Buddhist community became really great, largely due to his disciples, and the foremost of these, it would be Shen Hui. Okay, so he could have a great master, a Zen master, but then because his disciples didn't record any of his teachings, then we don't know anything about it, or maybe we just know 1 or 2 stories. And there are plenty of Chinese Zen masters in our history that we have only 1 or 2 stories. And there are probably many more that didn't have any story left, and therefore we don't know anything about them anymore. Okay? Right. So our time is up for today. So teaching it's time to break into our breakout rooms for discussion. And the discussion questions are, let's see, what do we have? I actually I don't remember what I decided. Can the TA help? But what was the two? What was the two questions?
Most of us, so it's number 3
Mm-hmm.
and number 4, Shifu. If
I
enlightened
think it's
people
number
are,
3 and number 5.
Right. Number 3 and
yes,
number 5. So
sorry.
most of us do not have a Zen master available 24/7 to answer our questions. So what can we do to avoid spiritual pitfalls and continue to make progress in our practice? Right? That's the first discussion question. And the second one, if you can get to it, would be if enlightened people like the Buddha are still subject to karma, in what sense are they truly free? So we address both of these a little bit, right, in this today. So let's go ahead and go into the breakout rooms. We have 23 minutes until 8:30 Pacific time. Go. All right, great job. Looks like everybody is. Boulder has no people.
Let's see.
Oh, they went to the Bay Area 1. Okay. Bay Area 1, Bay Area 2. Canada, Rita. Garden Group only has 5 people today, huh? Taiwan has a lot of people today. Interesting. Cool. Okay.
Actually, Taiwan only have 2 people, and there's like randomly assigned into the Taiwan group.
Okay. Okay. I hope they all speak Chinese because that's
I
a
think
Chinese speaking.
I think they all like speaking English.
No, they want to talk in Chinese.
And yeah,
So,
but
well, if we can, we should assign.
I asked them by message, but they didn't reply. So I think we randomly assign them.
Okay, we'll see how it goes.
Two, can you go to Bay Area Savatis group to see what happened? Because I think Sweta asked for help.
Sweat eyes will help. Okay. Okay, I'm going to the garden group today. Now I'll go to the Canada Rita group. There's only 4 people there. I didn't hear announcement for end of breakout room. It's supposed to end at right now, right?
It's so we gave him 2 extra minutes. So
Okay. Will they hear the announcement or just a screen reminder?
a message reminder, a
Okay.
broadcast message to all the breakout rooms.
Okay. Is there a way to do a voice broadcast to all the breakout rooms?
Oh, interesting. I have
It's
not.
like the intercom speaker in the school, right?
Yay.
That would be cool. Yeah, I don't think there's a way to do that.
"50 seconds, the rooms will close."
Okay. Okay, we can stop the sharing of the screen and resume the recording, I guess. Okay, we're waiting for the rest of the class to come back to the main meeting. Is that everybody?
Everybody's back.
We only have 40 people today. Getting less and less. All right. So I hope you all had a good discussion. Let us focus on number 3, the first discussion question, which is when you don't have somebody available to answer your spiritual questions, your Buddhist questions, what do you do? How can you prevent yourself from going astray and make sure you're on the right path? So let's hear it. What are some of the ideas you have? Time is precious. Don't be shy.
Shifu, I will try it.
Okay.
We discuss various ways. I think there is following the precepts,
Following the
following
precepts.
the Dharma teachings, like the Eightfold Paths, the 12 links, and so on, and to check our actions. If we still feel afflicted and still have suffering, either we have suffering ourselves or we cause suffering to people around us, then we are definitely not doing the right thing. So that would be one way to check if our actions are in accordance with the Dharma. Amitabha.
Okay. So follow the precepts, follow the Vinaya teaching, and check and follow the given Dharma practice, like the Eightfold Path and the 12 links, right? Instead of inventing some of your own Dharma, I guess. All right, good. Anybody else want to share from your group? Yes, Li Yue. Li Yue. Yes, go ahead. Turn on your microphone. Li Yue, turn on your microphone. Oh, we cannot hear you.
Okay, now I can.
All right.
I wasn't allowed to turn on my microphone. I heard my group members say that they would go back to the basic teachings, like the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, and to avoid pitfalls.
Yes, so like we started this class at the very beginning, Shifu said it's important to go back to the basic teachings. Just because we have learned it before, early on, doesn't mean we completely know them, right? So go back to the teaching review, because as we make progress in our Buddhist practice, we will find that what we think we know earlier about the Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Path, when we make progress, we'll have a deeper understanding, more and more understanding of the teaching. Okay, so yeah, it's important to go back to the foundations. Okay, anybody else? Grace?
Amitabha Shifu. In our discussion, we also talk about the fact that there's actually a lot of information out there, including Shifu's your YouTube channel, where if we're really getting stuck, we have you 24/7, really. The challenge is actually getting lost in all that information. And Say actually had a really good analogy. You can have all the recipes of the tiramisu in the world, but until you start making that tiramisu and have a sampling of it, you just have a bunch of recipes. And I think this is where my challenge is to really carve out the time and practice it and really enjoy the pleasure and the joy of Dharma rather than more chasing after lectures and what's on YouTube and more lectures, really just apply it to my daily life and absorb it. Amitabha.
Okay, I think that is a great analogy, right? You can have all the recipe for making tiramisu, but if you actually go to the kitchen and try to make one, you'll find out, oh, wait, there's a lot of details, right? So it is the analogy about listening or acquiring and actually doing the practice, right? So it's one thing to study all about the Eightfold Path and Four Noble Truths and mindfulness or body meditation. Is another to actually sit and do the practice. Do the practice. Try to maintain mindfulness for 5 minutes, and when you do, you will find many more questions or details that you are uncertain of, and going through those details, yeah. No recipe is complete, yeah. When you actually do the cooking of the dish or the dessert, you will find there's always little details that's not covered by the recipe, and you have to figure it out yourself. And that's the same way with meditation or Buddhist practice too. Yeah, great. Okay. Yes, Sweta, you raise your hand.
Yeah. So quickly, wanted to follow up on what you just said, Shifu. How can we practice mindfulness for 5 minutes? That's a question, and then I will answer the other question that you had.
Okay, in our previous classes, we have suggested exercises. For example, like brushing your teeth with mindfulness, right? Or so if you sweep your floor or make your bed, some start with either in meditation or when you are not in meditation, start with some simple physical action, simple physical repetitive action, like walking, or something quite simple like brushing your teeth, something you're already familiar, something that doesn't involve a lot of intelligence in discerning. That's when you can better just bring the mindfulness aspect into that, okay?
So do you try to do that action really well, and you're just in that action, in that moment? Is that what you would call mindfulness?
So mindfulness means that you are focused on what you should be doing
Mm-hmm.
with a calm and clear and unbiased mind, and you are in the present. So, it's easy to brush your teeth and start thinking about something else. So that would not be mindful. When you're brushing your teeth, every moment you can sense the brush in contact with which part of your teeth, right? The pressure, the sensation, yeah, and whether you got to the crevice, right, the between teeth and all of that, you are fully aware. That would be an example of being mindful. Okay.
Thank you. And I thought for the question, the first one, most of us, avoiding spiritual pitfalls. My answer may be very lame, but it is this, that we just stay in the knowing mind,
Mm-hmm.
not get into the consciousness mind most of the times. And the moment we feel like we are deviating, we try to get back on the track, saying, like, I'm a professor, I teach. And when I teach, I just do the right thing. I just try to get the message across. Some students could do a good job, some students could not. I'm just aware that this answer is not right, but I'm still not making judgments about it. There is no balance. There is one absolute truth, and I just pursue that. So there is no emotion, there is no bias. I just stay in a more like pure mindset without any emotion there, and I feel like that helps me avoid pitfalls.
Okay. Okay.
I
All
don't know if
right.
I'm doing anything wrong, if I said anything wrong here, or could I be corrected?
Don't worry, Sifu will summarize. So one more sharing about the first question, then Sifu will summarize, and we hopefully can get to the second question. Anybody want to share their
Yes,
discussion?
I cannot find the little hand. Our discussions have three main points. The first one is if we have not Zen Master available, we can abide by precepts that we learned from masters or from the sutras. That's the first one. And the second one is to make friends with the virtuous people and to listen, read, or to take lesson with the masters that we can attend. And the third one is what we learned from the Grandmaster Wei Jie. No matter how many years we have learned, we have cultivated in the monastery, we still need to review and reflect our minds and our deeds daily, in daily base. That's what we discussed for the
Okay.
first questions.
Okay, good. So let me summarize some of the things you have shared. One definitely is to follow the precepts, follow the Vinaya guidance, right? The Buddhist ethical conduct, and that it would be a very good and safe way to make sure that we are not doing something terribly wrong. So that's the basics. Yeah, the 5 precepts will be no killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, no offensive words or intoxicants, no lying, right, and no intoxicants like alcohol or smoking, cigarettes, tobacco, or marijuana and stuff. Okay, whether they're legal or not, some of these things are legal. Alcohol is legal, but then as a good Buddhist, we do not take them because they mess up our mind and they are addictive. Okay, so the precepts and meditation. Meditation is somebody share that in a group to help realize the practice and clear the mind so we can see the Dharma more clearly. Somebody in the group that Shifu joined also said rewatch the Dharma videos. Shifu's teaching is available online. So that is actually 24/7 thanks to our technology. And somebody also said, no, do not watch and not let our emotions overtake our judgment. Yeah. And also following the Dharma teaching, like the Four Noble Truths, the traditional Dharma teachings is important. And remember, at different stages of our practice, we have a different level of understanding. Okay? So when we first encounter the Four Noble Truths, it may seem fairly straightforward. But as you become better and better, or in your meditation and your practice, you will have a deeper understanding of the Four Noble Truths that you will not have at the first, at the beginning. And that is true with every Dharma teaching, every sutra, every Buddhist sutra. Like the Heart Sutra is actually a very profound scripture. And even if you have taken Shifu's class or read a Heart Sutra commentary, doesn't mean you completely understand it. So this is a really important part. While we want to have confidence in our ability to be enlightened, we also need to be humble. At no time shall we think that I completely understood this Dharma teaching. Even if it's something very basic like the Four Noble Truths. It's fundamental, but it is very profound as well. So at different stages, you have different understanding. So anybody who said, oh, I completely understand Four Noble Truths or Eightfold Paths or any of the Dharma teaching topics, that is, you should be alarmed. You should be alarmed, all right? And also somebody shared is the knowing mind, to stay with the knowing mind. At first, it is not easy to even recognize the knowing mind. So if you can recognize the knowing mind, then stay with the knowing mind in meditation. And the next will be to use the knowing mind to guide the judging mind. Use the knowing mind to guide the discriminating mind. Okay? It gets progressively harder, but when we practice, we'll become better and better at it. So an example would be what Sweta has just said. When you're a teacher and you teach your students, some students do better and learn faster, and other students are much slower, and you recognize that, you see that, and you guide them appropriately. If you have the chance to guide them individually, you guide them appropriately, but in your mind there's no preference. There's no like and dislike. So that is an example of staying with the knowing mind. You know that this student is slower, that student is smarter, faster, and the concern will be what will be appropriate to teach these different students, and not, oh, I like the students better because he's smart, and I don't like that student, I'm harsher on that student because he talked back to me. Okay, then that will be your ego, emotional mind that is taking over, right? Now, also, let us look back at the two stories that we discussed today. In the first story, the wild fox Zen, the old man fox, he was actually quite sincere. He didn't mean to be arrogant, but then he actually thought he understood karma, but he didn't, right? So that is an honest mistake, and we all make honest mistakes. So when somebody point out your mistake, in his case, he had a harsh feedback by becoming a fox. But so if there's a teacher, somebody who knows your mistake and point it out to you, you should be really grateful, because the sooner you discover your mistake, the less the karma consequence. Right? If nobody to guide you and then you die and then you suffer the karma consequence, that could be a lot more serious, right? So be very grateful for people who criticize you, even if they criticize you wrong. Yeah? Even if they are wrong, hey, it's better to have people who do that to you, who are willing to say those things to you, right? If nobody wants to say anything that make you unhappy, then that's not a very good thing. That means we are blind, right? All right, so in the second case, the young novice monk, he was very clever and he became arrogant. He thought he knew more than he did. And that is also something that happens to us. We thought we knew more than we did. So that's something that requires a lot of reflection. So the ABC that Shifu talked about, acquire, absorb. So the absorb part is where you frequently think about the teaching and your understanding of the teaching. You compare with the Buddhas, you compare with the sages' behavior, you compare with the scriptures, and you try to make sense of all of it in your mind, so that the whole teaching, all the teaching is coherent, is internally consistent and coherent, and then it makes more and more sense to you, and you see how it can help you in real life. Then you will be on the right track. And that is a crucial part that Shifu cannot help with, right? It's like, I give you the recipe, but I'm not, you have to make the tiramisu yourself. Okay, and actually we run out of time. So the second discussion question is actually quite subtle and profound. It is about what does it mean to be truly free. What does it mean to be truly free? So since we don't have time to share anymore, I will just point out a key. The key here that has to do with our first story too is just because we need to obey the law of karma, right? The law of karma is a universal law and nobody accepts it. It's like the physics law. Nobody can be accepted from the physics law. Everybody has to abide by the physics law. But some people are happy and some people are unhappy, right? So it's not the law itself that make you happy or unhappy or restricts your freedom or not. Rather, it's when you're not blind to the law, when you understand the laws clearly, when you understand the natural law, the way things are clearly, then you know how to navigate your life, right? To the point that you want, to the point that bring you peace. So in the breakout room that Shifu joined, one of the good points brought up was peace. Even though we still are objected to the law of cause and effect. For example, let's say I have a cold. Suppose I have a cold and I'm physically not that comfortable, which can happen as long as you have a physical body, right? That doesn't mean my mind is not at peace, right? If Buddha catch a cold, do you think that he would be upset? No, his mind will still be at peace. So how is that? Even when Buddha's getting old and his body is physically weak, and then he needs to leave this world, even to the last moment, his mind will be completely at peace. So even when we're facing death, it is possible to still have peace. Why? What is the key? Well, the key is in the novice first answer. He said, non-abiding, right? Do not be attached. So accept what happens when it happens. And, make your change for the future if you can. Accept what happens. So the key is not what happens to you, but how you perceive the situation. You have the right perception, the right understanding, you are free. You are free. So that's something we need to think about over and over again. Okay? All right. Next week will be our last class. So we'll take a break after the class is over. Anyway, let us conclude the class with our dedication. Let's put our palms together and take a moment of silence to make your own dedication. May the merits of our studying the Dharma and practicing the Dharma together be dedicated to all the participants and your family and friends and all sentient beings in this world, so that we can be genuine in our practice and recognize our own mistakes, and with a calm mind fix our errors so that we can constantly improve, and that we can have that peace, more and more of that peace of mind, using our knowing mind to guide our conscious mind, which will enable us to see how we can live in harmony together in this world. And may all people recognize this truth. Okay, we'll see you next time. And remember to set your screen name to your real name so that we can easily recognize you and allow you into the class. Okay?
Let's put
Amitofo.
hands together and
Amitofo.
thank Shifu for today's lecture.
Let's also thank our
Shifu.
TAs.
Okay, take care, everyone.
Okay, take care, everyone. Amitofo. 传签, okay. I guess it's only us. Everybody's gone.